Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel today. We're going to tackle a topic that could be relevant to all of us. Dementia? This disease not only affects those who suffer from it, but also their family and friends. It is crucial to detect the early signs in time, as this can make a big difference. Dementia is a progressive disease that affects millions of people worldwide. With the increase in life expectancy, these figures are expected to continue rising. The first symptoms are often confused with forgetfulness or distractions, but it is crucial to stay alert. In today's video, I'll talk to you about 10 early signs of dementia that you shouldn't ignore. I don't want to alarm you, but to inform you so that you can recognize these signals and act in time. Additionally, there are ways to face this disease, slow its progression, and improve the quality of life for those who suffer from it. So, stay with us until the end of the video, as this information could be very valuable to you. But before we begin, let me know in the comments your age and from which city you are watching us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to stay informed about more health information that could change your life and the lives of your loved ones. Postural changes. Let's start by talking about postural changes. It may seem unimportant, but the way someone moves can give us many clues. Notice if someone starts taking shorter steps, dragging their feet, or having balance problems. These changes can sometimes be the first signs that something is not right neurologically. Also, pay attention to coordination. Difficulties using utensils, buttoning a shirt, or writing can be early signs. It's not about a simple one-time mistake. It's a trend, something that starts to become habitual. All these signs tell us that the brain, the orchestra conductor of our body, is starting to have trouble coordinating movements. So, if you notice these changes in yourself or someone close to you, it's time to pay attention. Don't dismiss it as simple clumsiness due to age. Sensory problems. Sensory problems are also important. The senses can start to fail in subtle, almost imperceptible ways at first. You might notice that it's harder to perceive distances or that spatial vision is not the same. Even the sense of smell can be affected, and this is something that many people overlook. On the other hand, hearing can also give us clues. Increased sensitivity to noise or even hearing loss has been linked to a higher risk of cognitive decline. These sensory changes tell us that the brain is having trouble processing information from the outside. It's as if the wires connecting the senses to the brain start to fail. Therefore, it is vital to pay attention to these changes. Don't ignore them, thinking they are simple age-related issues. A recent study conducted in Spain revealed that the prevalence of dementia in people over 65 in nursing homes ranges between 9 and 70.5%. This finding underscores the importance of being attentive to the first signs and seeking professional help when necessary. Muscle weakness. Let's talk about muscle weakness, an aspect that is often overlooked. Grip strength, for example, is a good indicator. Recent studies have shown that a weaker hand grip may be related to a higher risk of developing dementia in the future. It's not just about opening a jar or carrying grocery bags, but how our muscles respond to the brain's commands. A clear example is when someone has difficulty performing simple tasks they used to do without any problem. Sleep disorders. Sleeping poorly can be both a cause and a symptom of dementia. If you wake up frequently at night, have frequent nightmares, or feel sleepy all day, your brain might be sending signals. For example, if you used to sleep all night without interruptions and now wake up several times for no apparent reason, this is a significant change. These disorders are not just annoying. They can indicate that something deeper is happening. Insomnia, involuntary movements during sleep, waking up very early and not being able to fall back asleep are signs you shouldn't ignore. Moreover, these sleep problems can affect your cognitive ability. A brain that doesn't rest well is a brain that doesn't function at full capacity. Research from the University of California has shown that sleep disorders are closely related to the accumulation of beta-amyloid proteins, which are involved in the onset of Alzheimer's disease. Therefore, if you notice significant changes in your sleep pattern, it is important to consult a professional. Don't dismiss it as something normal for your age. Apathy and social withdrawal. Apathy and social withdrawal are indicators that should not be overlooked. Often confused with sadness, apathy is much more than that. It is a lack of interest, energy, and motivation. The apathetic person no longer enjoys things they used to like. For example, If someone who used to go out with friends regularly or enjoy their favorite hobbies suddenly stops doing so, this could be a sign. It's as if a gray cloud covered their world, taking away the color. This lack of interest is not selective. The apathetic person may seem indifferent to both good and bad news. It's not that they are sad, it's that they don't care. This is very different from depression, which is often linked to external factors. In apathy, the problem comes from within the brain itself. If you notice that someone close to you is losing interest in life, don't ignore it. It could be a sign that something more is happening. A study published in the journal Neuropsychiatric Disease and Treatment found that apathy in older adults can be an early sign of dementia. Difficulty finding words. When you struggle to find words, this can also be an important sign. We all forget a word from time to time, but when this becomes a habit, you need to pay attention. Difficulty finding the right word or using an incorrect word instead can be an early sign of dementia. For example, if you find yourself saying thing instead of phone or that instead of car frequently, this can be concerning. And it doesn't just affect speech, but also comprehension. You might struggle to follow a conversation or lose your train of thought mid-sentence. This happens because the brain, which is responsible for language, starts to have trouble processing information. Moreover, this problem with words usually gets worse over time. At first, it might be sporadic, but gradually it becomes more frequent and more evident. This affects communication and the ability to express thoughts and feelings. Research from the University of Cambridge has shown that people with difficulty finding words and following conversations have a higher risk of developing dementia. If you or someone close to you is struggling more and more to communicate, don't ignore it. It could be a sign of something more serious. Notable memory lapses. Let's talk about those moments when memory lapses are more noticeable, like when you put your cell phone in the fridge. We all have slip-ups, but memory lapses associated with dementia go beyond forgetting where you put your keys. It's about placing objects in completely illogical places and, more worryingly, not remembering how they got there. This type of lapse affects daily life in a very tangible way. It's not just the inconvenience of looking for something lost. It's the disorientation and confusion it causes. For example, imagine finding the remote control in the cutlery drawer or the milk in the clothes closet. These episodes can be accompanied by a change in behavior, such as accusing others of moving or stealing your things. What's really happening is that the person can't retrace their own steps. This type of slip-up is a clear sign that short-term memory is failing. According to a study by the Alzheimer's Association, placing objects in unusual places is one of the most common symptoms in the early stages of the disease. Incontinence. The topic of incontinence, both urinary and fecal, is very delicate. It is a symptom that usually appears in more advanced stages of dementia, but it has a significant impact on the quality of life. The person may not realize they need to go to the bathroom, or may not remember where it is. And this is not just a physical problem. It's a matter of dignity. Imagine how you would feel if you suddenly lost control over something so basic. Add to that the shame and frustration that the person feels, which can lead them to isolate themselves and not want to go out. For example, someone who used to enjoy daily walks might start avoiding them for fear of an accident. It is important to address this symptom with sensitivity and understanding, and to seek practical solutions that help the person maintain their autonomy for as long as possible. A study published in the journal BMJ Geriatrics found that incontinence is significantly associated with social isolation and decreased quality of life in people with dementia. Constant repetition of questions. Now let's talk about the constant repetition of questions in the early stages of dementia. A person may ask the same question over and over again without remembering that they have already asked or received an answer. It may seem unimportant, but it is a sign that the brain is having difficulty retaining new information. This can be very frustrating for both the person experiencing it and their loved ones. Imagine having to answer the same question repeatedly, knowing that it will likely be asked again in a few minutes. For example, if someone repeatedly asks where their keys are despite having received the answer several times, this can be a concerning sign. Worse still, imagine being the one asking incessantly without realizing it. It is important to remember that the person is not doing it on purpose. Their brain is simply not functioning as it should. Therefore, patience and understanding are fundamental in these cases, and it is important to seek professional help to better understand what is happening and how to manage it. A study published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease has shown that the constant repetition of questions is one of the first signs of cognitive decline. Hallucinations. Hallucinations can be especially distressing for both the person experiencing them and their loved ones. It doesn't happen in all cases of dementia, but when it does, it is important to pay attention. A person with hallucinations may see, hear, or even feel things that are not there. This can be very real to them, as real as any other experience. For example, a person might talk about seeing people who don't exist, hearing voices, or feeling touched when alone. Imagine the fear and confusion this can cause. This can lead to great paranoia and anxiety. It is not easy to deal with this situation, neither for the person experiencing it nor for those around them. Much patience, understanding, and, above all, professional support are needed. Hallucinations are not a whim. They are a symptom that the brain is interpreting reality in a distorted way. According to a study by the Mayo Clinic, hallucinations in people with dementia are more common than thought and can be an indicator that the disease is progressing. Disorientation in time and space. Let's talk about disorientation, both in time and space, which is a crucial indicator that something is not right. A person with dementia may lose track of time, not knowing if it is day or night or even what year it is. It's as if their internal clock has become disrupted. For example, someone might wake up and get ready to go to work in the middle of the night, confusing night with day. But they can also become disoriented in space. Even in familiar places, they might go for a walk in their neighborhood and suddenly not know how to get back home, or find themselves in a room in their own house and not know how they got there. Imagine the fear and frustration this can cause for both the person and their loved ones. It is important to understand that they are not doing it on purpose. Their brain is simply not processing information as it should. And it is our duty as family members or caregivers to provide them with a safe and understanding environment where they feel as little lost as possible. A study published in Dementia showed that spatial disorientation is one of the most common and distressing symptoms for people with dementia and their families. Changes in mood and personality. Changes in mood and personality can sometimes be the hardest to accept when a loved one has dementia. You might find that a person who is always calm and kind becomes irritable or even aggressive, or that someone who is always reserved suddenly becomes disinhibited, saying or doing things they normally wouldn't. For example, a calm person might start shouting or showing aggression for no apparent reason, or a conservative person might start behaving impulsively and disinhibitedly. These changes can be very confusing for both the person and those around them. And it's not just memory that dementia affects. It can also alter the way the brain processes emotions and controls behavior. It's as if those filters that help us act in a socially acceptable way are lost. What's important here is to remember that these changes are not intentional. The person is not choosing to behave this way. It is their brain that is changing, and with it, their way of interacting with the world. Notice how some people with dementia make decisions that don't seem to make sense. They might give away large sums of money, dress inappropriately for the weather, or even forget to pay bills. For example, someone might go out in pajamas in the middle of winter or give away all their money to strangers. It's not that they are irresponsible. It's that their ability to judge situations and make sound decisions is impaired. It's as if the brain, which was once a good advisor, is now giving them incomplete or incorrect information. This can lead to dangerous situations, not only financially but also for their personal safety. A study by the Alzheimer's Society revealed that people with dementia are more vulnerable to being victims of scams and accidents due to their impulsive and incorrect decisions. They might go out without a coat in the middle of winter or cross the street without looking. Therefore, it is very important to pay attention to these behaviors and seek professional help. An early diagnosis and good support can make a big difference. Difficulty following a conversation. It is important to talk about the difficulty in following a conversation, something that is usually noticeable from the beginning. The person may lose the thread of what is being said or repeat the same thing over and over. It is also common for them to struggle to find the right word or use words that have nothing to do with the context. It's not that they don't want to participate. It's that their brain has difficulty processing language, both in understanding what is said and in expressing themselves. Imagine being in a conversation and repeating the same question several times, like "What day is it today?" or using an incorrect word, saying "table" when they mean "yes." This can lead to frustrating situations for both them and those around them. Communication, which we often take for granted, becomes a constant challenge. Therefore, it is fundamental to have patience, speak slowly, use short sentences, and, above all, not make them feel bad about their difficulties. A study published in the American Journal of Alzheimer's Disease and Other Dementias found that difficulties in communication are one of the first signs of dementia and can cause much frustration. If you or someone close to you is experiencing these symptoms, it is crucial to seek medical help as soon as possible. I'm not talking about self-diagnosing or jumping to conclusions. I'm talking about going to a professional, someone who really understands these things and can make an adequate evaluation. An early diagnosis of dementia is not the end of the world. On the contrary, it can be the beginning of a more manageable path. With the right guidance and support, it is possible to slow the progression of the disease and improve the quality of life for both the affected person and their loved ones. And don't forget something very important. You are not alone in this. There are many people going through the same thing, and there are professionals and resources available to help you. Although there is no cure for dementia, there are many things that can be done to improve the quality of life for those who suffer from it. Importance of early diagnosis. Here, I want to talk to you about preventive measures because there is much that can be done to protect brain health even before the first symptoms appear. Think of your brain as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. For example, activities like reading, learning new things, solving crossword puzzles, or playing chess help keep the mind active. It is also important to take care of the body. A balanced diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, fish, and healthy fats, is key. Don't forget about physical exercise. You don't have to run a marathon. Just walking at a brisk pace every day is already doing a lot for your brain. A study conducted by Harvard University showed that regular exercise can reduce the risk of developing dementia by 30%. Advanced planning. Advanced planning can make a big difference in the life of someone with dementia. When there is an early diagnosis, there is time to make important decisions about the future. This is not only for the affected person, but also for their family. It is time to talk about things like long-term care, finances, and the person's wishes regarding medical treatments. For example, having a conversation about who will handle the finances or how medical decisions will be made can be tough, but it is much better to have these conversations early, when the person can still express their preferences and make decisions. Additionally, advanced planning allows for the implementation of strategies to manage the symptoms of dementia. For example, adaptations can be made to the home to make it safer and easier to navigate, or work can begin with occupational therapists, speech therapists, and other professionals who can help maintain cognitive and physical abilities for as long as possible. A study published in Aging and Mental Health revealed that advanced planning significantly improves the quality of life for people with dementia and reduces the burden on caregivers. And here's a piece of advice that is sometimes overlooked. Maintain a positive but realistic attitude. Dementia is a serious disease. It should not be minimized, but neither should it be catastrophized. There are many things that can be done to improve the quality of life for both the person with dementia and their loved ones. Surround yourself with a good medical team, seek support from family and friend groups, and don't forget to take care of yourself, because if you are not well, you cannot take good care of others. And remember, every small victory counts. Every day that a conversation is maintained, every time a daily task is accomplished, every shared smile is a triumph. Tests and medical evaluations. Now let's talk about tests. If you or someone close to you has noticed several of the symptoms I've talked about today, it's time to see a doctor. And not just any doctor. Ideally, you should see a specialist, a neurologist, or a geriatrician who really understands these things. They will perform a comprehensive evaluation that goes beyond a simple chat. They will conduct tests of memory, language, cognitive abilities, and also physical tests, blood tests, and, in some cases, brain scans. All this to reach a precise diagnosis. And before you get overwhelmed, let me tell you something. These tests are not to scare you. They are to help you. The more information you have about what is happening, the better you can plan treatment and care. And remember, a diagnosis of dementia is not a death sentence. It is the beginning of a different path. Yes, but a path where many things can be done to maintain a good quality of life. It is essential, when suspecting dementia, to rule out other possible causes of the symptoms. Sometimes what seems like dementia can be something else. For example, a vitamin deficiency, a thyroid problem, or even severe depression can present with similar symptoms. And these conditions, unlike dementia, do have specific treatments that can reverse the symptoms. And not only that, but chronic stress, something so common in our day and age, can affect memory and concentration. And some medications can have side effects that resemble the symptoms of dementia. Therefore, a comprehensive medical evaluation is very important. It is not just about ruling out dementia, but also about identifying what is really causing the symptoms. And once you have a clear diagnosis, you can start to act. Research and treatments. Before we finish, I want you to know that there is a lot of ongoing research on dementia. New treatments, both pharmacological and non-pharmacological, are being studied. And although there is still no cure, we know more and more about how this disease works and how to manage it better. For example, it is being seen that stimulation, that is, keeping the mind active with games, reading, and other activities, can help slow the progression of dementia. Also, the role of diet, physical exercise, and even music and art are being investigated, all to improve the quality of life for people with dementia and their families. Emotional support. Finally, I want to tell you that emotional support is key for both the person with dementia and their loved ones. It is not an easy path, but it does not have to be walked alone. Seek support groups, talk to friends and family, and do not hesitate to seek professional help if needed. Remember that every day is an opportunity to enjoy the little things, to maintain human contact, to continue creating memories. Dementia can change many things, but it does not have to erase love, joy, or dignity. And above all, remember that each person is unique and that dementia does not define anyone. Behind the disease, the person with their history, tastes, and memories remains. Don't forget them, and don't forget about yourself, because caring for someone with dementia is an act of love, but so is taking care of yourself to continue giving your best.